Hey, what's up, y'all? So this video is going to be about WWE's Cruiserweight division, which seemingly has been snake bit since its inception in 2016. It started out great. You know, the Cruiserweight Classic was a fantastic tournament. Everything that came out of that was fine, I guess, other than TJP winning, because a lot of people think that that's where it went wrong. The moment TJP won the tournament, that's kind of where it went wrong for a lot of people, especially considering the internet loves them some Zack Sabre Jr. with his pencil. He's a pencil neck geek with tweed arms and legs. And of course, the Golden Star, Kota Ibushi, was in the tournament, which was great. I love that part. But they weren't going to sign contracts, so they lost. And that turned off a lot of people. A lot of people were like, oh, I hate this. I hate it already because Kota Ibushi and Zack Sabre Jr. won't be in it. But who gives a fuck? Like, Kota didn't stay anywhere until recently, you know? So, and Zack Sabre Jr., I mean, what really was he going to do in WWE except do what he does in Japan, which is bore everybody half to death with his pseudo submission skills. But anyway, everything seemed to go wrong the moment TJP won the tournament. Things kind of started going on the downslide, but Lord have mercy, how bad did it really get? So the Cruiserweight division never really got off the ground. They used to do these short segments on Raw where they would change the rope colors because it's the Cruiserweight time, and people hated it. Nobody cared. It first started with TJP's theme music, which was like a remix of the Mega Man theme, which god fucking awful. But it was, you know, I kind of liked it at the time because I thought it was kind of creative, but it was real corny. It was like super corny. And things went downhill the moment he lost the title to Brian Kendrick. It seemed like nobody cared about the Cruiserweight title anymore. Then 205 Live started, and the Cruiserweight division kind of came back a little bit. It had its own brand. It could tell its own stories, which actually was good for the division. It was the good stuff, because now you could produce new stars. This when you had Neville come in. He's the king of the Cruiserweights. And this was the good part of the 205 Live. He got to be the centerpiece of that brand. And then that was great. Then they brought over Enzo. Enzo was a huge injection of personality. Making Enzo the champion probably wasn't the best idea, but I mean, it was also not that bad of an idea because he's not a good worker. And the Cruiserweight champion is supposed to be a good worker. So he was a good heat magnet. And then things started to fall apart. Neville said, hey, I'm tired of being segregated, separated. And he wanted to leave. So in 2018, he quit. He walked out. He left. And then later on, February 2018, Rich Swann, well, in late 2017, I should say, 2018, former Cruiserweight champion Rich Swann beats up his wife, or gets accused of beating up his wife. He gets fired. Then, same thing in 2018, Enzo Amore who is the current Cruiserweight champion at the time, gets accused of rape. Didn't tell WWE. He gets fired. Of course, it turns out that the rape ended up being fake. Wasn't the point. So in 2018, 3 Cruiserweight champions alone were fired or left. Well, 2 of them were fired, 1 of them quit, that I could think of. Left a huge hole in the division. So they brought in some new energy. That's the good thing about the Cruiserweight division. They brought in Mustafa Ali and Cedric Alexander and Buddy Murphy. Those guys came in. And then those guys were summarily taken out of 205 Live. Cedric Alexander was shipped to Raw to do nothing. Mustafa Ali was shipped to SmackDown to do nothing. And then they brought in Chad Gable, and they brought in Mike Kanellis. And then they took Chad Gable right out of 205 Live 2 weeks after being in it. And then Mike Kanellis was turned into a jobber. And it was like, well, the good days of the Cruiserweight division was during the Cedric Alexander, Mustafa Ali days, when people, and then, you know, the Rich Swann and the Neville days, when you had good talent telling decent stories in the ring. That was the heyday of the Cruiserweight division in the WWE. And then, you know, again, they gutted the division. After Chad Gable was taken out of the division, things kind of started going south. Yes, they introduced some people, you know, Leo Rush was one of them. Lio Rush was introduced. You know, some more people were introduced, but it didn't have the same kick. It didn't have the same pop anymore. And then 2019 comes around, and TJP gets released. Well, it wasn't a big hit. You know, the first Cruiserweight champion gets released. Not really a big deal because he wasn't doing anything anyway. And, you know, so we're left with a bunch of Tony Neses. You know, guys who look good, not much on personality. Maybe you have your Oney Lorcan. I like Oney Lorcan. He's good. You know, I would watch 205 Live just for Oney Lorcan. And, well, not just for Oney Lorcan, but I would watch it with him on. And then we kind of just hit this slump. There was a slump. And the slump was because NXT was going to national TV. So now NXT needs more talent. So NXT gobbles up 205 Live. Just the whole Cruiserweight division is now in NXT. They rebranded the Cruiserweight division from the WWE Cruiserweight Championship to the NXT Cruiserweight Championship. And Lio Rush is going to be the champion. And that's a good thing. And then they put the title on Angel Garza. And that's going to be a good thing. And then Angel Garza is taken to Raw. And then what? Now you've got, I don't even remember. Well, Jordan Devlin. I think he won the Cruiserweight title at Worlds Collide, and that was fine. And then the pandemic hit. And Jordan Devlin is stuck in Europe. Can't defend the title. Stripped him of the title. Now Jordan Devlin, of course, is one of the many people with allegations of sexual assault on his record. Who knows if he's going to be able to survive that? Lio Rush gets fired during the pandemic. Mike Kanellis also gets fired during the pandemic. Jack Gallagher gets fired after rape allegations. And now the Cruiserweight division is dead again. Any talent that they've injected into this division over the last 4 years, major talent who could have made the division special, like Lio Rush, like Neville, like Enzo. Even if you don't like Enzo as a worker, you have to say that his personality works for the division. Akira Tozawa apparently is not in the division anymore. I guess Lucha House Party is not in the division anymore. You know, which is 3 guys, because that's Lince Dorado, Grand Metalik, and Kalisto. I think Kalisto is injured. So you got all those guys out the division. So what's left? Except guys who are kind of waiting for their push in the Performance Center, like Isaiah Swerve Scott and Jake Atlas. You know, there's nothing for them to do right now, so they're just going to go to 205 Live and have matches. Just have matches. Which is fine, I guess, but they're not telling any stories, and they're certainly not telling any stories that reflect back on to NXT, which is the point. That's the big problem here, is that you have a second show just for the Cruiserweights, but you don't tie it into the main program. For instance, there was a round robin tournament on NXT. They didn't use none of those matches to draw 205 Live. That would have been a good way to do it, right? You could have had, hey, we're going to do the first couple of rounds on 205 Live. We're going to do the last couple of rounds on NXT TV. But NXT needed TV ratings, so again, just gobbled it on up. We're going to throw all of the guys nobody care about on 205 Live. You know, your Shane Thorns. At least I'm sure Shane Thorne is on there. Okay? And I'm not saying that they're bad talents. I'm just saying that they don't have any definable personality. And they keep trying because they sent Tyler Breeze to 205 Live, and it didn't work. You know, it's just, it's not working. It's not working. And the problem is that they cannibalized the division, where they took all the good talented guys and said, oh, maybe he could be a big star on Raw. Maybe he could be a big star on SmackDown. And then they went and squandered them. Why not just leave Cruiserweight guys being good Cruiserweight guys? I mean, those guys used to be killing it. I mean, the Cedric Alexander run as Cruiserweight champion was fucking fantastic. It was awesome, full of great matches, good moments. The thing with him and Mustafa Ali at that one WrestleMania, I wish I remember what year it was. I think it was 32. Was it 32? No, it couldn't have been 32. It had to be like 34. It was one of them. It was one of them years, man. I got an old man brain. But that was a great run. The Buddy Murphy run with the Cruiserweight title. Great run. These were later runs with the title, of course. Then, of course, you had Lio Rush. Could have had a good run, but once the Cruiserweight title is on NXT, it became an afterthought. Like, it was already an afterthought, but it had a guaranteed spot on the pre-show, you know, which is why, I forgot about Austin Aries. I forgot. That's why Austin Aries quit, because he was on the pre-show of WrestleMania, and he felt like he should have been on the main show, or he felt like he should have been on the DVD. And this was in 2017, 2018, when Austin Aries quit. And he was the other guy who was supposed to be a top draw for that division. And he was in there. He was in there for such a cup of coffee, such a short, small, like a tea party cup of coffee, like for a baby. Like, he was there that long. So many guys go through this division, and either they get frustrated because they're not used properly, or they're not presented in a proper way, or, you know, there's just nothing for them to do. Like, currently in NXT, yes, you have El Hijo del Fantasma, who is now wrestling at Santos Escobar. He's amazing. He's great. I love that guy. I liked him in Lucha Underground. I liked him in AAA. I watched him in AAA. Big fan. You know, thought he did great in the tournament. I like that they're kind of centering on him right now, as far as NXT is concerned. But I'm kind of worried, man. Like, he's not on 205 Live. He's not there. He's not the flagship bearer for that brand, and he's supposed to be. None of the stories that he's telling is going to tie into that brand, you know? And the brand is fucking dead, okay? The 205 Live brand is fucking dead. And it doesn't need to be. It could tell good cruiserweight stories and just have lighter weight classes if they cared. The fact is, they don't care. They don't care. Okay? And it's been that way for a while. Like, you know, I don't know. I'm just sitting here trying to think of why Leo Rush even lost the Cruiserweight title. Like, he was a Cruiserweight champion, and after he won the title after, you know, his sabbatical, he came back, won the title. It seemed like it was going to be a big rejuvenation, and he was champion for like 60 days or something. And then it was gone. Then Angel Garza was the champion. Then Garza wasn't the champion that long. They took it from him. They moved him to Raw. And then, you know, Jordan Devlin was going to have a good run. That wasn't his fault. Wasn't nobody's fault that the pandemic happened. And then, but who knows now? They might have to release him. You know, Jack Gallagher was a stalwart of the Cruiserweight division. I remember when Jack Gallagher was a real fun character with the umbrella and everything. They kind of thought that he was making fun of Marty Scurll. But, you know, he used to be a fun character. Then they turned him heel, and that was it. You know, he was fun when he was Gentleman Jack. He was kind of like a William Regal type of babyface, you know, tough guy, you know, but kind of silly at the same time. And then they turned him into like a bruiser submission style guy, and it just nothing. Just nothing. Now, I'm not saying that the Cruiserweight division can't be good. They still have some talented guys. They have Jake Atlas. They have Isaiah Swerve Scott in the Cruiserweight division now. But they're not telling any stories with them. You know, they have Oney Lorcan there, you know, so they have talent. But what are they going to do with him? They have Raul Mendoza, the guy who's been threatening to be on the roster for a long time. I'm glad he's finally doing something. DJZ, I don't know what the fuck is his name? Joaquin Wilde, I think his name is now. You know, and then, of course, you could still, you know, use Tyler Breeze or some of the other people who were threatening to put in on 205 Live. You could do something with 205 Live. I understand it's the pandemic. You want to limit the amount of talent and the amount of exposure talents are getting. Doesn't change the fact that you could still tell stories. It's a good place to tell stories. I like the Cruiserweight division. It's a good place to tell stories. But you have to give a shit. And right now, all they care about is NXT TV and competing with fucking AEW. Well, they probably don't even care that much about that, because if they did, they would probably put a little bit more effort into the Cruiserweight division. You know, I saw a lot of people complaining about the tournament. They didn't like the tournament. Some people were even calling it the Twink tournament, which I think is kind of, you know, whatever. I liked the tournament. I enjoyed every match in the tournament, really. I enjoyed the stories that they were telling in the tournament. It tells me that they can tell stories with the Cruiserweight division when they want to. They just don't fucking want to. And that's frustrating. Because they have an abundance of talent and no fucking motivation. No motivation. I mean, you got a big bundle of talent called Isaiah Swerve Scott sitting right there. He's sitting right there. And they're jobbing him out for no reason. You know, he's still having good matches, but he hasn't found his voice yet. He hasn't found that character yet. He got the swag, but he doesn't really have a reason to swag yet. We need to work on this. Cruiserweight division, snake bit, doesn't need to be. I'm glad the Drake Maverick thing might be able to be what takes the Cruiserweight division to the next level. Because it's a storyline where people are actually a little bit involved. People are actually paying a little bit more attention to what's going on because of the Drake Maverick, him being fired, then him being rehired type of thing. That might actually bring some interest in that division back. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe, and debate in the comment section. Let me know. I'll talk to you guys later.